Alright, hi, I'm Nick Downey, and I'm going to be talking about Cold War and Project MKUltra. Most Americans would like to think that their government wouldn't betray them or infringe on people's rights without their knowledge. However, the US government did just that with Project MKUltra in the 1940s through 60s. Project MKUltra was a CIA operation exploring the possibility of using mind control for espionage through the use of LSD and other drugs. The government is always seen as a governing body of the people for the people, so you'd expect them not to infringe their citizens' rights. But MKUltra revealed the extent to which our government will go with experiments against citizens under the guise of self-defense. Today I will explain the timeline of Project MKUltra, the height and experiments conducted, as well as the fall and aftermath. All of this started in 1953 when fear of the USSR was on the rise and the Cold War was in its early days. The US was concerned about soldiers coming from Russia, Korea, and China being under their mind control and waiting to make a move against the US government. This scare caused Alan Dulles, director of the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, to approve the start of Project MKUltra in 1953. World War II had just ended and there were reports of GIs returning from Europe having been brainwashed by the Russians and Chinese to try and spread communism. This helped to spread fear of communism throughout the US. Dulles gave a speech in the same year. He discussed how the Soviets had launched into brain warfare to convert Westerners to communism. He used this fear as a reason to begin conducting his own experiments with the CIA into mind control. Some books were published that perpetuated this idea. The thought that mind control was behind the rapid spread of communism comforted Americans who were afraid upon seeing its rapid rise. The CIA used electroshock therapy, hypnosis, polygraphs, radiation, and a variety of drugs, toxins, and chemicals to try and use their mind control. With the scare of mind control and the spread of communism, experiments began getting underway using a variety of drugs, psychedelics, LSD, and other psychological manipulators. The goal was to find a way to control the minds of humans and get them to carry out higher-ups agendas. The CIA began funding studies at Columbia University, Stanford University, and other colleges on the effects of psychedelics on the brain. MKUltra also included experiments with MDMA, ecstasy, mescaline, heroin, barbiturates, methamphetamine, and psilocybin, or magic mushrooms. The CIA used universities, prisons, and hospitals to find their test subjects. Sometimes the subjects were unaware. In other cases, like prisoners, they were offered special benefits or reduced sentences to participate. While the CIA had been conducting these experiments for a few years, even using other agents, the height of MKUltra came with Operation Midnight Climax. Operation Midnight Climax was the height of MKUltra. The CIA set up multiple safe houses to carry out their experiments. They would use prostitutes to lure test subjects into a bedroom that would be set up with one-way mirrors, microphones, and cameras to watch their test subjects. They would use prostitutes to get them up to the room. Once in the room, LSD would be slipped into the test subject's drink or food. Once the drug would take effect, agents behind a two-way glass would observe the effects of the drugs on them. They studied the prostitutes and men having intercourse and would try to determine when the best time to extract information would be, determining it to be immediately after the intercourse. They studied all of this information to try and find the best time and way to extract info from their targets. Unsurprisingly, not everyone in the CIA supported the experiments. In 1963, John Vance, a member of the CIA's Inspectors General Staff, learned about the project and put an end to it. He implemented new research ethic guidelines and made sure all experimenting for MKUltra was brought to an end. The project was buried and not heard from again until 1977, when Senator Edward Kennedy oversaw congressional hearings investigating the effects of MKUltra. They brought in ex-CIA employees for questioning and interrogation. Though many employees experienced memory loss about the experiments or the extent of them. After questioning didn't turn up a lot of answers, they went to look at the paper records on the project. But most of the paperwork had mysteriously been destroyed or disappeared after Congress had begun investigating. Because of this, the full extent of MKUltra may never be known. Looking back on the experiments, it is obvious that one of the biggest human rights violation by the government entity in U.S. history. So today I discussed the start of Project MKUltra and the tests they conducted until it was terminated. Project MKUltra was a CIA operation exploring the possibility of using mind control for espionage through the use of LSD and other drugs. In today's day and age, we probably don't have to worry about projects like this Instead, we have our own problems, like privacy from the government, and when does security get too extreme to where it starts infringing on our rights? While we should comply and obey the government, we should always ask questions and be observant of their actions. Thank you. Have a good night.